Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. You're at the spot, the place, where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now. Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney. How you doing, Brains? Are you reaching for your highest and greatest good? I ask you that for a reason. I need you to really put on your bootstraps, pull them up, lace them up tight, so that you are able to become strong, purposeful, and resilient. We're going to talk to Anna Peters. She's in Australia. You know I love Down Under. And we're going to talk to her about overcoming a disability, a debilitating illness, a challenge that she had and trauma that she had with her mother. She is the author of 3 books. She's in 3 anthologies. She's going to read us some powerful words of wisdom. And she's also going to be a source of insight, because you're not alone, Brains. There's nothing new under the sun. And when you can connect with someone that has had a challenge, that has overcome a challenge, but has the strength and the ability to pour into you to try to help you, you have to celebrate that. And that's what we're here to do today. We're here to celebrate Anna. So let's welcome her to the show. How are you, Anna Peters?
I am so great. Thank you, April. Thank you for having me on today. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
I love that side pony, honey. There's a certain sexiness and self-assurance when you got a side pony.
No, but thank you. I find it really easy to to do it, which is great. Yes.
You know, most women would just pull it back. That's average. But when you put it to the side, you're making a statement. So tell my Brains a little bit about you and how you show up in the world.
Okay. So I grew up in what I call the streets of Carnegie. It's a place in Australia, in a city called Melbourne, Australia, and it was a great place to grow up. I grew up in a community where we came from Europe. My parents migrated from Europe. My mother was a beautiful lady. My father, there were some issues with my father. But, as a little girl, it was a safe neighborhood. It was full of Greek. My background is Greek. I have other nationalities in the background as well. There was Italians. We had a lot of Italians. We had a lot of Jewish people, and we all amalgamated together. We were a community, and it was fun growing up. Although I had a lot of things happening in the background, which over the years, as I was getting into my sort of early teens, it was compounding. My father was a very unhappy man. And, when you look at his childhood, you go, wow, I can understand why he was so unhappy. But it was just a shame that he chose one child to favor, which was my older sister, and I was the unfavored child, because being the second child in a Greek home, I was expected to be a boy. And that's where it all started. So when my mother had me, he didn't visit my mother in hospital for 3 days because she had a girl. And I thought, did anybody tell him that it's the male sperm that determines the sex of the child? But in any case, so because of my heritage, I had a tough time. And I must have felt that because I did everything for the first 25 years of my life. I did everything I could to make him happy. So I was living my life for my father, and I wasn't living my own life. And I wasn't even aware of it.
Well, at that young age, I mean, you don't know what you don't know, and the expectations. And, that's unfortunate that he did not see who he saw in you. But like you said, it stems from generational trauma.
That's right. That's exactly right. And hence why I've ended up doing the work today. And when I was doing all my healing work, I asked, because through that work, I discovered that I chose my parents. And I thought, wow, why did I choose my parents? My mother was the loving, caring, emotional strength, supportive person. My father was an extrovert narcissist, and my sister was an introvert narcissist. So I had both of them at me from the time I was born. In fact, my poor sister said to my mother when she was 8 months pregnant with me, "I'm going to kill your baby."
Mm, mm,
And she attempted to do that in her mind, the way she tried to do it. And the whole dynamics that day when she attempted was set up in that moment. The whole dynamics of the family was set up in that very moment when I did past life regression, and I was just basically a baby out of the hospital. And all those things, and the pain, because my father used to get physical. He wasn't a man that would sexually abuse, thank God, thank goodness, but he would get physically violent. And I remember thinking, when he was beating me, I buried so far down and deep, and it didn't come up until I went through all of that. And I swore I would tell my story. And I never wanted anybody, any child, to ever have to go through that ever again.
Well, and I appreciate you sharing your emotion with us as well, because that is traumatic. But again, what doesn't kill you makes you strong. And that is what is the important thing, is that you had that aha moment. But before you had that aha moment, that pain and anguish of dis-ease turned into disease. Tell us about your health challenges.
I think I remember crying all the time. And I got to an age where I thought, I don't want to live anymore.
You need to take a break. You okay?
And I didn't want to cry today.
Why? Girl, tears are cleansing. Tears
Well,
are cleansing.
yeah. I mean, and especially when you love your family, but they don't love you, or they don't express it in the way that you expected.
And love is by design, Anna.
That's right.
Love is by design. Everybody has a different love language. Everybody has a different expectation. Some people, I had a guest earlier today. Her and her husband didn't live together for 18 years. And they're together now. It worked for them. He lived one place, she lived somewhere else. And it's very, very different. Me, I gotta be under my husband 24/7, because that's my heartbeat right there. So I get it. But when you're a child and you don't have any way of expressing this, and you're not clear, and you don't understand, and I know that the wish is that no one has to go through that. But if nobody goes through it, baby, nobody has a testimony on what it is on the other side.
That's right. Oh,
And
yes.
so,
I mean,
to
people
whom
say
much is given, to whom much is given, much is required.
yes. I mean, look, I have to say that when you're an emotional child, and you have such caringness for everything, animals, people, children, nature, you're a little bit different. And I knew I was different. I could see spirits from a very young age. I had I knew very quickly that I was different, because I remember saying it to my sister, who is that person in the room? And she'd say to me, what person? And I'd say, that person over there, and I'd point. And she'd say, there's no one there. And I realized that I was seeing more than what most people could see. And that became evident later on, when, I would foresee things before they would happen. And that was frightening in itself. And I used to tell my mother, because she had the same ability. I think I inherited it from her. And my mother would tell me, what did you see? And I had a dream, or I'd tell her the dream. And sure enough, within weeks it would happen. Sometimes it wouldn't happen for a few years. So I never really understood the timing, of, but the journey of when I came out of that emotional trauma, um, and my parents, and that was another thing. My father was quite aggressive towards my mother, and and she was such a passive, beautiful lady. I used to fight for her as I got older. In fact, I learned martial arts because I didn't want to be afraid anymore. I started studying kung fu, and I became so physically strong that I could stand up to my father. And I was defending my mother because I thought, I'm never going to ever let you lay a hand on me ever again. And in the end, he actually got scared of me. He realized there was a time. He told me he was going to leave my mother, and I said, well, you should have left a long time ago because you put her through so much and us through so much, aggression growing
Right.
up. It
Right.
wasn't right, and it was awful, unhappy. I mean, to get to an age, I think I was 17 when I first almost attempted my life. Um, but luckily for my mother actually saved me. We ended up in hospital, but she spoke to me 10 years later after it, and I was lucky to have her. She was my strength.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, I lost her about 15 years ago. I lost her very young. I was only 39. And I know, and when I compare my story to others who have lost and have had worse situations, I mean, I think I'm so lucky because I compare my story to other people, and that's what actually got me through. When I started to look at the stories of other people and how other children had it worse off than I did, that when I came into my injury, um, and that was from, you know, it was the universe's way of saying, you're going in the wrong direction. We want you in a different direction. I had 4 car accidents in 1 year. I wasn't the driver. And each time it was almost like it was a push in a different direction. It caused a lot of spinal injury, which was undiagnosed. And basically that on top of the emotional pain, it was a daily, it was pain 24/7. I didn't want to live anymore. I didn't know how to fix my pain. And that's
Did
what
it
I got.
cause it? Did it also cause addiction?
No, the one thing that I think the martial arts saved me, because I had a very strong discipline. I think because I was ADHD, hyperactive child, I was always running. And I think that was my way of dealing with pain. I would go for a run. At school, I was always involved in sport. Um, and remember, I was trying to please my father the whole time. I was trying to gain his love. So I did everything that a Greek boy would have done. Like I was the school captain of sports. I played soccer. I was teaching soccer. I did martial arts. I won, became the national champion 2 years in a row. So I became a high achiever because I was trying to get love.
Right. Now,
And
your other, you only had one other sibling. You said an older sister.
mhm.
How did this impact her? I mean, I know that she didn't live in a bubble. She was there. She saw this.
Yeah, she saw it. She was quite tough, and she was very, very strong emotionally. And she would gang up with my father, and that's how if she was afraid of him, she would gang up with him against me. And so it was like I had both of them ganging up on me all the time, and it was a verbal attack, emotional attack, spiritual attack, all the time, all the time. So if it wasn't from my father, it was from my sister, and I don't know whether that's because that's just, they say that the first child sometimes gets a little bit jealous when the second child is born, but they usually grow out of it. Well, she never really grew out of it. She kept going, and until I got to the point where I had to leave the state. I left, and I went and I lived, left all my family, left everybody I knew, my whole community, everything that I had known in the place that I grew up. And I moved to New South Wales. So I moved to Sydney, and that's when my life actually began. I heard you have to leave. You have to leave.
Mm.
And when I was a child, I had incident with an ET, an extraterrestrial. When I say extraterrestrial, I think it was my guide. When I was about 7, I was wide awake and I was taken to a place where it felt like I was floating in space with a guide. I remember having to look up because I remember looking up, although the conversation was telepathic, and I was shown a podium. And on that podium, I was shown past, present, and future. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, I know everything now. And when I came back into my body, I was trying to tell, I had my cousins from Adelaide visiting. We were all in the same room, and I was trying to tell what I just witnessed, and I was being put to sleep. And I woke up the next morning. I remembered the incident. I remembered that I was taken elsewhere, somewhere what looked like a space, floating in space. Um, and I was shown what is really going on. But in the morning, I couldn't remember anything. And when I was about, this was 7 years of age. When I got into my teens, I started to remember things to remind me that I was different, and I had out of body experiences. I saw myself lying on the bed, and it was designed to wake me up or to help me remember who I really was.
Or
But
also discover what your life purpose is, because
yes,
from that you wrote you wrote into books. But I want to ask you too, finding Jesus Christ. A lot of people are seekers. A lot of people are looking, and Jesus may not be your doctrine of choice, and that's okay. But to
yeah,
understand and to realize that there is a higher and greater good, and that we didn't just pop up like dandelions, and to know that you have to pay it forward, and you have to worship, and you have to be grateful. Those things are very important. And we are at a critical time now, Anna. Everything is so tender, everyone is so fragile, emotionally, financially, spiritually, politically. Uh, we're just being pulled in so many different directions. What would you say to a person that's seeking refuge and peace of mind right now?
I think that we have to remember that we are it's bigger than us. It's bigger than ourselves. And if we just remember that we are, and this is the what I have experienced, if we all see us as one big energy, ball of energy, and we're all connected and we're all the same. Doesn't matter if you have white skin, brown skin, black hair, white hair, or yellow skin, blue skin, doesn't matter. Um, we are all, we are not our bodies, we are the spiritual side. And when we understand that and we connect to that, we connect from to where we really come from, we don't feel the disconnect. We feel love when we connect to the source, when we're disconnected. And if you're seeking, seek to connect. Seek to connect to that higher energy that's beyond your physical body.
Right.
And that's why people meditate. They're trying to connect to that truth. And I will say the word truth. And the reason I resonated when I read the story of Jesus was, and whether the story is real or not, I have no way of proving it. But what I felt was, I felt the story resonated with me about truth. And if I'm about truth, and the story of Jesus was about truth, then I resonated with that story. And
Were you
and
the
when I
only, are you the only Christian in your family? Or, I know that you're from England, and I know that originally from Europe, and that's pretty much,
well,
Catholicism or Christianity. But your faith, was that explored at all in your upbringing? And what religious denomination was that?
I'll explain. So I grew up in a Greek household, and they are, well, my father's a non-believer, and so is my sister. They're both non-believers of God, and they don't believe in anything. And my mother was a believer, and in our in when you grow up in a Greek family, it's usually the Greek Orthodox denomination.
Right.
It's called Greek Orthodox, which is basically they believe in Jesus. And I used to ask my mother, Mum, why do we go to church? I don't understand any of what they're saying. And I say, why do we do this and why do you do this? And she didn't really know how to answer me. So we weren't very strong. We weren't religious as such. And I didn't really resonate with going somewhere else to have belief. I
Right.
believed that it was inside.
That's right.
And I believe that if you do good, like there were so many people that I witnessed that would go to church and they would brag about going to church. And if you didn't go to church, you weren't a good person, but they were doing so many bad things. And I thought, well, this doesn't make sense either. So, the goodness is within the person's heart, and that energy that, and I would tell someone to find your tribe, find your people, find your brothers and sisters, your soul brothers and sisters, the people that would never ever put you down, would never ever take anything away from you. And when you surround yourself with those kinds of people, your life is smooth, because we all care about one another. You're basically, you've got to seek your own people. If you find yourself you feeling like you're the outsider in a family, that you feel like you're born in this family, but you're not really from this family, you feel completely
Right.
an outsider. And
Absolutely.
you got to find your soul brothers and sisters. And I think that is when you know that you're on the same frequency.
Right.
When you find your brothers and sisters and you are on the same channel, on the same frequency, everything, it just becomes
And the
so much.
things that you dream about, you manifest. The things that you want to share with others. You want to be more giving. You want to be more compassionate. You're conscious. You are in that awareness state. You are in that state of purpose. People don't understand their purpose. They don't even seek it out. They think that you're just supposed to be here for the illusion of grandeur, for the money, for the big house, for the big cars, for the travel. They don't know that there is a higher and greater good. There is something above us and beyond us that we need to humble ourselves to, that we need to pay homage to, that we need to teach our children about, that we need to pour into that. Talking about pouring into, you poured into not one, not two, but three anthologies. Tell us a little bit about one of them and read us an excerpt because I want to hear about it.
Okay. All right, I'll start with, I want to show you the first book that I wrote a chapter in. The publisher invited me to write. It's a co-authored book, and some of the authors in there tell their incredible stories, very similar to mine, where we all went through severe adversity, but the resilience, we came out through the other end, even though we wanted to give up so many times, and we wanted to tell the story. But I'll read. My chapter was called 10 Miracles, because throughout my life, I didn't realize that what I was actually experiencing was miracles.
Mm.
And so I'll read you Miracle 6 and then I'll read you Miracle 10.
And what book is that from? Let us see the
Now,
cover.
this is called Intuitive Seeing Her Truth,
Mm.
published by the Art of Grace
I love that.
Publishing
I
House.
love that cover.
Yeah, Intuitive Seeing Her Truth. And you can find it on Amazon. I called it the prayer. I continued to search for treatments, trying everything and nothing was helping. I was tired of not sleeping and tired of the pain. There was only one thing left to do before moving on to another life. Jesus, please help me. I don't want to die, but I cannot see the way out. Please give me a new body, beam me up out of this body, or send someone to help me. And I promise I will do whatever I can within my abilities to help as many people as I can. Please give me my health back. That weekend, I was asked to present some information about anti-aging to a room full of people. I was good at hiding and masking my pain. It took everything out of me, and I would collapse at home afterwards. By that stage, I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. The real problem hadn't been diagnosed yet. I couldn't even turn the steering wheel without painkillers. That was the addiction. It was an addiction that I didn't know I had. You asked me that question before. So I was on painkillers. I don't say it was an addiction because I had to have them to sleep. And for 10 years I was
Well,
on them and
that's
I nearly
and
lost my liver.
I don't mean to cut you off there, but consciously or unconsciously, if there is an aid that is needed, there is an addiction.
Yes.
That's another level of trauma because now you are in this haze, you're in this fog, you're in this pain state that the only way that you get relief is if you do XYZ. So
Yes.
coming off of that and healing is another challenge within itself that you have to
Yes.
ask God for.
Yes. Well, I asked for every bit of help I could get. So I couldn't even turn the steering wheel because, the pain, I had to have painkillers every day for 10 years and I nearly lost my liver. At the event in the front row, a mysterious lady appeared. The mysterious lady named Pat invited me to have some of her healing sessions. Pat changed my life and gave me an entirely new spirit.
Hmm.
Is this even possible? I had never heard of this before, but it worked from the first session. I walked out of there feeling brand new. The trees looked amazing. They were bright and colourful. I could see energy particles moving in space. It's hard to explain, but for the first time, I felt I had some energy. I felt calm, bright, free, happy, excited, and joyous.
Hmm.
Yes, the pain was still there. The physical pain was still there, but it was different. I felt alive. In the second session with Pat, I had a little fear pop up as I was trusting a perfect stranger. So I asked her, where did this energy transition come from? Where does it come from, Pat? And she said, Jesus, Anna, it comes from Jesus. Tears rolled out of my eyes as my prayer was answered. Pat was the person Jesus sent to help me. It's what I prayed for. So when I was praying, please send someone to help me. And this was the lady who changed my whole life and gave me new abilities that I didn't have before, new awarenesses. And from that day on, and she worked with me for 10 years, and she said to me at the end of this, she said, by the way, you can now do what I do. And I said, what do you mean? She said, you can do this healing work. I said, no, I can't. She said, yes, you can. I have passed on the codes to you. And I thought, I don't know if I could ever do this. But in any case, she said, you've got to get your physical body right, Anna. You're in a lot of trouble physically. Now, we still didn't know what was wrong with me.
Hmm.
But I'd like to read you the last chapter because I think this chapter is just a message to anybody who finds themselves in a situation where they don't want to go on. And I always say, find the way. And it's a temporary situation. It's a temporary situation. And you will find the way if you seek. Seek and you shall find. Miracle 10, giving back. The first part of my life was moving at 100 miles per hour, working, playing, living life to the fullest, burning the candle at both ends, forgetting about my gift, ignoring my spiritual sense, going from one heartbreak relationship to another. Was I happy? Of course not. That's why I was running. I was running 100 miles an hour. I was in a rut. I prayed for happiness. I prayed to be shown the way. Waking up with paralysis changed the course of my life. The hidden blessing. My guides had to keep me still long enough for me to see my truth. The blessing in disguise. We all know what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. The teachings are priceless, and the opportunity to give back to mankind everything I have learned makes me the happiest person in the world. It makes everything I went through worthwhile. I live the miracle every day. Being able to give back is a miracle. Jesus provides everything I need so that I can be in a position to give. My life is yours, Jesus. I hear your calling. I will stay open for your guidance. I pray that mankind will choose love and truth, so only love and truth will exist on earth. The fifth dimension, consciousness, the rising, the highest dimension possible within the body. ask to be upgraded to the fifth dimension through the safe channel of Jesus if you are on the same, if you feel that it resonates with you. This is specific to the light bearers, the light workers here on earth, my brothers and sisters. This is the knowledge that I would like to pass on just from my experience. Thank you.
Well, you know what? It is inspiring. It's thought provoking. It's encouraging. You don't have to walk this path alone. And Brains, just for the sake of argument, if you don't believe it, do you believe in the air that you breathe? Do you believe in this internet connection? Do you believe in hope? Do you believe in prosperity? Do you have a dream? I had this conversation with my daughter the other day. Very intense conversation about don't play small. Continue to dream. We have really no idea of what our soul contract is. And to be able to walk by faith, not by sight, is a mighty gift. To be able to feel the vibration and the frequency, to make someone laugh, to make someone smile, to be kind, those are things that require effort, momentum. And so I encourage you to pick up one of the books that Anna has. We're going to have them listed. To reach out to work with Anna Peters, to seek out your highest and greatest good. Okay, you may go through life and not accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. You wish you had it, but I'm okay. I'm just, but I'm just saying, But if you don't, that's okay. But never ever say that you were not introduced. Never say that you did not have the opportunity. And I'll tell you, the voice is so sweet. The calling is so strong. The reward is so magnified that you will say to yourself, I don't know why I didn't do this before. I don't. Anna, thank you so much for being here on the edge with us. I want you to tell my brains, any current offerings that you may have, how to get in contact with you so that they can follow with you and be with you in the light to find their tribe.
That's great. Thank you so much, April. Well, I have a beautiful website. It's called apwellness.com. Anna for Anna, P for Peters, apwellness.com. And on there, I have a list of all the services that AP Wellness provides, where we do our energy healing, just as it was done for me, and also all the services for gut health. We have the world there's problems right now with health on a worldwide scale, and we offer genetic testing, and we offer other tests that are amazing, which shows us where your cells are at and how they are functioning and absorbing all the nutrients or not. And all of these tests give us information enough to be able to rebalance you, get your health right, and all the bloods normalize after that. So it's really great work. I love what I'm doing. I'm passionate about helping people. And most of all, you've got to find love within yourself. And when you love yourself and you find love within yourself, you can love another. And that was one of the things that I forgot to mention in this book that I wrote, Divine Love, publisher by Mary Gooden. I wrote about love, and if somebody was seeking love, all the things they needed to know about themselves, to check themselves in order to find a match, a partner. And I talk about it in detail. I even use genetics because our genetics can sometimes determine our personality, and most people don't know that. And when you understand that of yourself, you'll have a better chance of choosing correctly a right match for you. And
or,
just recently,
or disconnecting from something that is not good for you.
Yes, exactly. That's
because it
exactly right.
allows you to establish boundaries.
Yes,
and pump your
yes,
brakes.
that's
Everything,
right.
I always say, the adversary is busy. It's busy, and challenges and fear and heartbreak are truly your best teachers because you know what pitfalls to avoid moving forward. You know how to address them. You can see trouble when it's on its way. So being able to be prepared, to be able to have that awareness and that insight is so powerful. And I'm so glad that you are going down to the genomics,
Yes.
down to the cellular level, because again, epigenetic trauma is generational. A friend of mine, Dr. Carolyn Ross, taught me this years ago. And I was like, it's ingrained. She said, oh, it's in your DNA.
Yes,
You,
that's
if you
correct.
are aware and you're conscious, you have the opportunity to break that cycle. And that's what we want you to do. Thank you so much, Anna. I think that you are a beautiful soul, and I can see it resonating from your pores. Grace, I want you to go in. I want you to love, like, share, and subscribe here on the edge. You know how to find me. Just Google my name. I want you to um, pray not for you, but pray for somebody else. Have you ever done that? Have you ever been so selfless that it wasn't about you, that it was about somebody else? And believe me, that's going to come back to you tenfold. It will. So open your heart, open your minds, open your pockets, and work with Ann. Buy her book so that she can continue to spread the message. Money is nothing but energy, so don't get all crunchy about that. Okay? You got to pay it forward. When your coffer is full, don't keep trying to pour into it. Pour into somebody else's. Thank you so much, Anna. I appreciate and value you. I think you are the best. You are
Thank
the best.
you, April. I'll come back and I'll share the happy side of the story about all the positive things that happened.
All the well, I
The
mean, we
second
can
time.
look at you. We can look at you and see the positive. And I want you to come
Ah,
back and visit us really soon. Okay?
thank you so much, April.
All
Love
right.
you. Bye bye.
All right.
Bye
Love you,
bye.
brains. Have a really good day. I'm counting on you.